stupid bases on things. So we still have to have them in our filter. Even though... No! No! Hold on. Oh, Jesus. What the fuck? Hold on. Okay, I'm walking. Yo, Tripolar Bear. I'm going to talk about 3 things in today's video. How I set up Nemesis 3, why I think it's the best, how much money I made when I was doing my Nemesis 3 testing. We'll go over what exactly Nemesis 3 is and everything, of course, as well. And the last thing we're going to go over is what filter you should use, because what filter you use is actually really important. It's going to save you a ton of time, and it's going to save you a ton of clicks, which is kind of the bad part of Nemesis. So let's get into Nemesis quickly. If you don't know what it is, the gist of Nem 3 or Nemesis 3 farming is using this sextant right here on this Watchstone. Nemesis monsters drop 3 additional basic currency items. A Nemesis monster can be obtained in your maps either through Zana on the map device or by rolling it on your maps, which is how we do it this league since Nemesis is not on Zana's map device. So you need to get a map, you scour, you elk, or you scour and binding orb, and you do this in bulk. And you see I have a bulk tab set up here just for that reason. Just get a bunch of tropicals, whether you farmed them yourself or you buy them for 10C each. When you're doing this, it's a juicer strat. You got to have a little money up front, but you are more than rewarded for it in the end. So I have a Nemesis map here. Boom. That is the Nemesis strat. And expanded on that, right? Because obviously just running a map with this one sextant, that wouldn't be enough, right? That's not what's generating so much money. What helps a lot is putting Beyond on the map from Zana's map device, as well as having Beyond on one of your Watchstones. Beyond makes it so when you kill a monster, it'll leave a little portal, and if you kill a lot of monsters, these portals will merge, and they'll summon more monsters. So when you kill monsters, more monsters spawn. That's really sick. So now we want to add so many more monsters to kill them, so Beyond monsters spawn, which are even more monsters, and every rare that spawns, even if it's a Beyond monster, has Nemesis on it, so it's dropping 3 extra basic currencies, and that's where we get all the money from. On my setup, I'm also going to use unique monsters dropping corrupted items. This sextant is sick, because you get a bunch of corrupted 6 links off of all of the Beyond monsters that spawn, because some of the Beyond monsters that spawn, once you kill enough monsters in a dense enough region, are going to be unique, right? You get the unique Beyond monsters. And so you get a lot of corrupted 6 links because all the items they're dropping are corrupted, which is very, very nice. And you get a lot of divines by selling these, or you sell them for 30C or whatever it is, right? But you just get a bunch of divines and they're like 9C each. This more than pays for itself. I enjoy it. The last sextant that I use, and this is one I prefer for this region, and then we'll talk about the passives, is going to be areas contain 2 additional abysses. This is really sick because we are going to, in Glenlock, use the Abyss passives here. And the Abyss passives add a absolute truck ton of monsters. The too long didn't read on this one is you're just going to get extra Abysses because of pack size sometimes. But this one gives Abyss monsters 50% increased experience, which is really sick. And you get so much XP in the zone. And then Abysses spawn with 100% increased monsters. That combined with a Gilded Abyss Scarab is going to give you 150% increase Abysses from monsters. You're going to get 4 Abysses in every single one of your maps. It's so much Beyond monsters. It's so much monsters, so much XP. It's so good. And sometimes you can get 5 because of this node, depending on how much pack size your map has. Of course, the other passives in the region we're doing are going to be Beyond and this Beyond one. Now, you can choose this rare Beyond demons have a 25% chance to drop an additional basic currency. This is pretty good. It's like Nemesis 3.25, but only for Beyond monsters. It's not bad, but I do prefer to do this one here for your Elvas and whatnot, where incursions have a 33% chance for all monsters to be magic. I think this one's a little bit better, but honestly, you can't go wrong. These are the 4 main ones, and you'd be trolling by not choosing those. We do not choose this one, by the way, because we don't do Abyssal Depths. Abyssal Depths aren't really worth too much. You could do them and get a Stygian, and I think Stygian bases are still like 10C, but we're Nem 3 farming. You might as well just keep blasting. So these are the passives we use here. The middle Atlas tree passives are, generic. It's the basic stuff, right? You do this so you get extra Shaper Elder Guardians. You do this so you get extra Synthesis maps. You do this because if you're rolling Sextants, like my last video, you're making big bucks or you're saving big bucks. you want one extra use on your sextants, and this one for increased effective Watchstone mods. Depending on what Watchstones you're using, this is very, very nice. And then just Cyrus progress. So now we have the Atlas passives. Let's talk about the rest of the Scarabs we're using. So I like to use a Rusted Legion in Tropical Island. It's a pretty open map. I think a Legion is pretty fun. It's one of my more favorite mechanics. I just like opening a Legion. If I have an Inspired Learning / Headhunter on the build, I get a bunch of buffs, and I kind of just run around really fast. It feels good. So that's what I prefer. Breach, you get 3 breaches. Self-explanatory. Breaches spawn monsters. Kill monsters. More monsters spawn from beyond. That's exactly what we want. And the last one I use is Polished Harbingers. I do Polish because Gilded is like way more expensive. It could be worth it. It probably is, but it's kind of hard to buy some Gilded in bulk when they're being used by other money-making strategies and whatnot, like MFers and stuff like that. But, you know, either way, Polished or Gilded. And on these as well, you could do Polished or Gilded. I was just able to pick these up in a large quantity with Gilded. So we've got all the Scarabs here. Now, you can change some of the Scarabs up. Instead of like a Harbinger, or maybe instead of like the Legion, you could do like a Blight. You could do the Elder ones. Honestly, the Elders portals are really cool, but you kind of have to let them spawn their monsters, or you don't really get too much value out of them. And I kind of like to just like run around and blast everything open. The same can kind of be said about Breach, but Breach in this region with Scourge popping and whatnot still does spawn enough. And so the map here, I forgot to mention this, but we are rolling it with Nemesis, obviously. But the important thing is we do 20% delirium on it. So that's just 1 deli orb. I like to, instead of buying the really stinky deli orbs, like the weapons, the jewelry, the armor, which, you know, maybe, you know, jewelry, that's Headhunter, Mage Blood, you know, you're probably not getting it. But I like to spend a couple more chaos, and then I get Catalyst as a reward. So I got a lot of Fertile Catalysts, a lot of Prismatic, random Catalysts for a couple extra chaos. It's worth looking into slightly better Delirium orbs instead of just the cheapest ones, because it is really only a couple chaos more, right? It was like 24C for an Armor Smith or Blacksmith Delirium orb, and then it was like 25, 26, 28, something like that for a Catalyst. So, you know, I'm paying 4 chaos for a bunch of Catalysts in my map. That's pretty good. All right, but we do 20 deli because you want Delirium. Delirium adds a bunch of monsters, more Nemesis mods, more Nemesis rares, and then more currency that drops, right? And we're all just trying to juice as many rare monsters in general in this map. The last thing you could do is Prophecies. Prophecies are really good. You get a lot of extra quantity if you buy Tempest, and you get a lot of extra monsters if you buy Plague of Frogs, for example. But right now, these are kind of hard to buy at like reasonable-ish prices, especially in bulk, just because of all the other people like MFers doing Tempests and whatnot. I tend to see them at like 15 chaos or more each. When you're doing like bulk, which is like pretty nuts, but you know, it is what it is. Tempests are the last little bit of juice that you could do. So now let's talk about how much that I made over 16 of these maps. One last thing as well. I forgot to mention this. There's going to be a couple things like that in this video. All right, whatever. I'm trying to hit it quick. One last thing. Unique Watchstones. You see, I have all the same ones here. Now you might be wondering why. Well, for my build, an extra random prefix doesn't do too much. I'm Forbidden Right. I'm Chaos. I don't have to really worry about much. There are some things that I wouldn't want. So on suffix end, from this Watchstone, adding a random suffix, I wouldn't want max res. That's just something to keep in mind and tailor to your specific build. But the Irresistible Temptation Unique Watchstone, very cheap. You can buy a lot of these very easily. And the thing with these is you can activate your map with 4 of the same Unique Watchstones, but only 1 Watchstone's charges will be removed. And you can see this when you put your map in the device. Watchstone mods. Map has 1 additional random prefix. 18 uses remaining. So we see it's this one that's having its uses taken, right? So you can even have like 1 use remaining, or, you know, like a smaller amount on these Watchstones. And only this top one is going to be having its uses used. And this is very nice, because you can buy a bunch of Watchstones, you can roll a bunch of Watchstones, and you know, let's say you roll a bunch of Watchstones and you get Nemesis on like, you know, some random one or whatever, or you get Nemesis on all 4 of the same ones. It's totally fine, right? And this saves so much money when you're bulk rolling Watchstones like this. You can do this with magic watchstones as well. Then you don't have to worry about uses. The problem with magic watchstones and this strategy is, in my opinion, is that you'd have to have a lot of them, right? If you're trying to roll your own sextants, you need a lot of magic watchstones, because if you only have 4, you might hit beyond 2 times in a row. What are you going to do? You're going to roll over beyond? You're going to roll over Sacred Grove. That's worth like, 1.5x. You're going to roll over all this stuff. It's not really worth it. I think it's much easier and better to just buy a crap ton of unique watchstones, roll a crap ton of all your sextants, right? I got like 200 plus sextants. I got to roll all these, and I made way more by just rolling these. It took like 10, 15 minutes, man. Check the video out. And I made so much money. And I saved so much money just by rolling these. It's so good. But that's the last thing, just the unique watchstones. Obviously, like a booming populace is really sick. I got a couple of these off my Cyrus, so I started using them, right? 20 pack size. That's pretty big. That's pretty big. I would be careful about using Terror. 24% more monster damage is huge. +1 monster level. Huge, okay? This is very spooky, getting Terror watchstones. Getting suffixes, it depends on the build. This one adds packs of monsters. It's pretty cool. If you are trying to juice, should be using like a booming, a war among the stars, and then, some other stuff, right? If you want to be super juicer efficient, man. But otherwise, it's not that big a deal. Just get in a Nemesis map and start grinding it out. It's better to be in a Nemesis map killing monsters than it is to sit here and worry about watchstones for, 30 minutes or something. One last really quick and important thing that you need to keep in mind for Nemesis farming is that you want to be spamming your Scourge button when you're not in the middle of like League mechanics or something like that. So I kind of like to press it on the way to abysses, right? Making those Scourge monsters spawn is very important, because you get, I think it's like somewhere around 10 or more free packs. That is when you press V or whatever your League key is, or however you call Scourge, to go into that upside down place, right? When you do that, it spawns monsters. That's really important you do, because it's just free monsters, right? It's free monsters. Press the button, right? To spawn extra monsters on top of the monsters that are there anyways, right? Because there are the monsters that are there that are analogous, or I guess mirror copies almost, of the monsters in our normal map. And then every time you press the button, it will also spawn extra monsters up to a certain number of times. So it's very important you max that certain number of times out so that you can get way more monsters, right? I think it's, again, 10 to 15 extra packs of monsters, something like that. Very good, very huge, very important. All right, worry about it later while you're grinding. Let's get into how much money we've made, and then we'll get into the filter. So I did 16 maps. It costs about 3,200 chaos to run these 16 Nemesis 3 maps. But I've made 7,978 chaos. So let's take this 7, 9, 7, 8, and let's subtract how much I got from just random maps. All right. I got some tropical islands, but some of them are going to be corrupted because of the unique monsters drop corrupted item sextant. So let's just say I don't want to sell maps, or maybe they're all bricked or something, if you want to be hyperbolic. So really, I only made 7,642. Let's take 3,200 chaos out of this, because that's how much it cost for me to run all these. I made 4,442 over 16 maps. That means every map I ran, I made 277 chaos profit, right? Every single time. That means I made almost 2x per map that I did. And these maps, they don't take too long. The looting is what takes a little bit, right? It'll be like 15, 20 minutes. You can pump these out, I would say 3, 4 per hour if you have a lot of juice on your character, and if you can do them very quickly. You can make some crazy money, right? 6 to 8x per hour is about as good as it gets for solo farming strategies right now. And you won't find something better than Nem 3. And when you look at where your money comes from, it's so easy to liquidate this stuff. Whereas with other strategies, it's not really. And you'll see here, it's X, right? You get a lot of X. Over 16 maps, I averaged 23 Exalted Orbs. I got 99 Divine Orbs from that unique monster dropping corrupted items, right? Most of them are from this. I did get some random Divine drops because of currency and whatnot, but most of these are from just vendoring the corrupted 6 links. The Chaos, I picked up 700 just raw Chaos, right? 200 awakened sextants, 2,000 alts. It's just all currency. And if you remember back to Heist League, when we're doing all of the grand heist farming, we can just dump currency. You just dump it on some dude, right? Just dump on him. There's people who will just take a bunch of currencies if you want. My sextants, personally, I rolled those back onto my Watchstones because I had a bunch of uses remaining, and I might as well have if I'm going to continue farming. Or I might as well do it because rolling Watchstones is super profitable right now. So I'm just making money with my money. All right. We got simulacrums, right? We picked up some sim splinters and whatnot. You see here, I did get the Scout. This is a new div card. Apparently somebody wanted to add a div card to Tropical Island to further incentivize Tropical Island farming. It's fairly rare. I've only gotten 2, and I've done, you know, some odd amount of tropicals, right? We did a 16 here, another 10, 12, whatever, in other tests and whatnot. But hey, all right, it's like 0.8, 0.9x, something like that. It's 8 div cards for 7x, I think is what it is. So it's a 125 chaos drop. That's pretty cool. Maybe you'll get more, all right, if you add some quant to your gear. But you see, almost all of it is just currency, right? If we exclude maps, it's literally just all currency that I've made, right? And most of it being the X Divine Chaos, right? Up to this point, this is what made most of my money, right? And then everything past this point was like a small pittance, right? So everything highlighted here is 7,100 chaos. Everything below here is like the last 800. It's just random little things, right? Some Karui splinters, all the random maps, which I did take out. You know, some random Scarabs that I got, some splinters or something. And then this is where my Exilence Next ends. And if you're doing this farm, you do need to use this, by the way. But, right, I don't include anything in my Exilence Next that's worth less as a stack than 5 chaos. So the lowest, cheapest thing I have is 1 Rusted Harbinger Scarab for 5C, or a Glacier map for 5C at T16, right? Everything else is worth more in total than 5 chaos to weed out random crappy div cards and whatnot. So extremely profitable, very cool, and pretty fun. Lots of looting, but that's okay because you'll get a good filter. And you'll get a good filter because you should use a never sync uber strict filter customized to your liking. For me, I will not put this filter down in the description. I will not be held liable for your drops. You need to make your own filter. It's so easy. Go to uber strict and customize it. Change it how you need. I've hidden all the low tier supplies. I've hidden all the high tier supplies. I've hidden some small stacks of things, right, that I don't want to see anymore. For example, I don't pick up fusings anymore. I just don't. They're not worth anything. Chisels, elks, fusings, horizons, baubles, all the random tiny little shards, orbs of bindings, chromes, jewelers, I hide them. I don't pick up 6 sockets. I don't pick up any of that. And you'll see that in my Exilence Next. I don't pick up elks, bindings, and fusings because they are 10 to 1. I am not clicking 10 items in Nemesis 3 to get 1 chaos. I'm clicking enough. All right, I click 2,000 alterations. Those are 5 to 1. That's where I try to cut the line. Alts, I'm not picking up anything less than an alteration. So you'll see I have alts saved here because alts, you know, they made me like 400 chaos. The thing is, I did another Nemesis test where I picked up fusings and chromes. I made like 70 chaos by picking up like thousands of fusings, thousands of chromes. It was like such a crazy small amount of money. I was like, all right, I'll save myself the time. I'll save myself my hand. You know, I won't pick it up. So I recommend you all to do the same as well. Update it however you like. Maybe you want to show some maps. Maybe you want to show some divs or hide some divs or some unique items or whatever. Okay, you need to do this on your own because I can't be held responsible for it. Anyways, it's a little bit long of a video, but I hope this was a good overview of what it is to farm Nemesis 3. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the live stream. I'll catch you later. All right, bye. Subscribe, by the way. Any subbers?